QINGYI is now permanently available in the shop, and while it will take a little while to get her Mindscapes, she might or might not still be worth it for your account. We will find out that one later on. For now, to make sure you know how to perfectly build and play your new cute little police robot, today let's talk about her kit and how she plays, her best combos, weapons, distries and distry sets, her main substats, her teams and Mindscapes, and lastly, let's also talk about her pros and cons. Welcome, I am Rivenous, and this is your complete updated guide to QINGYI. QINGYI is an electric stun agent who excels at rapid and extremely high daze application, while also massively increasing the enemy's stun damage multiplier. Let's begin with QINGYI's unique resource, Flash Connect Voltage. It is as per usual indicated right below her HP bar and caps out at 100%. Guess it would be weird if it wouldn't after all. If the bar reaches 75% or higher, however, the bar turns orange and QINGYI then enters the Flash Connect state. While in the Flash Connect state, QINGYI gains access to her health basic attack, Enchanted Moonlit Blossoms. Holding down her basic attack will have QINGYI perform a series of strikes, inflicting a good chunk of damage and a large amount of daze. The last strike is referred to as finishing strike, and releasing the basic attack button early will make QINGYI directly perform said last strike. If attacked right before doing so, QINGYI will then also trigger a perfect dodge, and this will become very relevant in just a bit. Using her health basic attack will then also consume all Flash Connect voltage she currently has, and the damage and daze dealt by this attack will then be increased by up to 25 and 12.5% respectively, depending on how much Flash Connect voltage above 75% she has had. Lastly, as for her basics, QINGYI features a 4-part basic attack string, with the third hit being infinitely loopable by simply holding or spamming her basic attack. Releasing the basic attack will then transition directly into her basic 4. Her basic 3 is integral to her kit and hence will be used more than just frequently. Additionally, most of her relevant skills directly lead into said basic 3. And also, this thing exists, but we will never use it, so we forget that it exists. When QINGYI lands the finishing strike of her Flash Connect state health basic attack, she will apply 5 stacks of subjugation to the enemy. If she does so while also triggering a perfect dodge, she will then apply 10 stacks instead. Subjugation is kept at 20 stacks and lasts until the enemy recovers from stun. Because of that, we want to make sure to trigger perfect dodge twice with her health basic and apply 20 stacks in between each stun window. For each stack, the enemy's stun damage multiplier is then increased by 4%, hence capping out at a maximum of 80% additional stun damage. QINGYI's dodge counter is quick, deals a good chunk of daze and damage, and directly transitions into her basic 3. We will use this very frequently, but that also is all there is to say about it. Her quick assist, defensive assist and assist follow-up all do what we expect them to do, but both her quick assist and assist follow-up directly transition into her basic 3 as well. We will not use her special, and her EX special does what we expect it to do. However, we can also hold her EX special rather than just simply pressing it, increasing the damage and daze and anomaly dealt, while also granting her more Flash Connect voltage at the cost of an additional 20 energy per second held, as well as an increased animation time. And lastly, her EX also leads directly, unsurprisingly, into her basic 3. Her chain does what a chain is supposed to do, and so does her ultimate. Her ultimate does instantly grant her 75 flash connect voltage however, and we should hence use it right after fully depleting her resource bar. As a side note on her chain attack, it does gain up to a 60% damage bonus, but outside of a very specific use case with primarily Yijuan's ultimate cancel technique, we will actually rarely use it. To lastly finish her kit overview, QINGYI requires either an attack agent or one of the same faction, and if that condition is fulfilled, her basic attacks gain a 20% days bonus. In addition, she gains up to 600 flat combat attack, 6 for each point of impact over 120. Means we would need 220 impact to max this out, and because this does include combat impact after all, it is realistic to do so for most premium weapons. However, her additional ability matters surprisingly not a lot, so we are totally fine simply not activating it, as she would sometimes stun too fast for certain teams anyway. Most of her days comes from her basics, ultimate and EX special, and because of that our skill priority will be core into basics, followed by her EX and chain, and lastly her dodge and assist. Depending on how much you parry and dodge, and hence also depending a lot on the matchup, this can shift massively however, making it worth to level all of her skills. Her quick assist, assist follow-up, EX special and dodge counter all directly lead into her basic 3, so her combo is, well, do any of the first and then spam basic. Because we can infinitely loop this with her dodge counter, this is the most effective way of filling up her flash connect voltage. If flash connect is above 75%, we hold her basic attack. Ideally we do so triggering a perfect dodge, and we can then follow up with her ultimate into another health basic if available. As a stunner, she has no real combos for that matter, so I suppose this section is just really short. She is incredibly simple to play after all. Calculating stunners is always interesting. Her signature is theoretically her best in slot across both days and damage, but it does have some ramp up time to it. Blazing Laurel and even Fossilized Core both have higher potential in terms of days, but sometimes we just don't want higher days. Honestly, the biggest selling point her signature has is the generic 20% damage bonus. Personally, just choose whatever you have, she already stuns super fast anyway, and she really does not need her signature. Her usual best in slot is a 4-piece King of the Summit, with her 2-piece being ideally either of Shockstar Disco if you are in need of more days, or a 2-piece Woodpecker Electro if you cannot hit the 50% crit rate requirement of King of the Summit without it. Within certain team comps, such as Yugo, who runs double stunners, other 4-piece options such as Astral Voice, Swing Jazz or Protopunk will work as well, but most of the time we really just want to stick to a 4-piece King of the Summit. As per usual, adapt your builds to the current team. We are looking at crit rate in slot 4, electric damage attack percent or pen ratio in slot 5, and impact in slot 6. There really isn't much to say here, the most important part is to hit the 50% crit rate requirement of King of the Summit if we run it. This is also true for our substats, and hence we focus on crit rate until at least 50% in the stat screen, then crit damage into attack percent, and lastly flat pen and flat attack. Frankly, her damage doesn't really matter too much, so while you can always make her deal more damage, really just focus on the crit rate first and foremost. Save your resources for other higher requirement stunners such as Dylan or Jofufu, or, you know, just farm better discs for your DPS instead. QINGYI's Mindscape 1 is actually pretty good. Faster resource accumulation helps her massively, as she already requires more field time than many characters would like, and a 15% defense shred is always nice to have and universal to be used as well. Well, that is unless you play her in her best team, which is a Rupture team that does not care about defense. In that case, she at least gains the 20% crit rate for herself, and she can profit from shorter field time. If you play her with Yizhuan, honestly, her M1, in my opinion, is not really worth it. Her Mindscape 2 increases the stun damage multiplier she provides from a maximum of 80 to 108%. Honestly, it is okay. Given how expensive it is to get to Mindscape 2, personally, I do not find this to be worth it. Her M3 and M5 exist, and because they increase her days dealt even further, they might actually hinder your gameplay, as you are likely to find yourself stunning way too fast now for most agents, such as Yizhuan. Her M4 doesn't matter, and her M6 is such a massive personal damage gain that DPS QINGYI is not only real but actually viable. Please note that these calculations reflect her personal damage and not team damage. You also probably want to actually build and play your QINGYI as a DPS at M6, but I did not adjust my calcs for that as I do not have an M6 QINGYI to test with. So it will be more than just those 40% you see here. Anyway. Frankly, the only other option that is better than QINGYI for Yizhuan would be Dialan. But without Dialan, QINGYI is the second best in slot stunner for Yizhuan. She also works super well with Hadomasa and Sijuan, and Nicole is often the best in slot choice for those two as well. Technically, QINGYI fits into a lot of different teams, such as Seed, Zambi, Neko, Alan Corrin, or Hugo, but it should also be mentioned that she is heavily outclassed by other choices in those. However, if you are a newer player and you are severely lacking stunners, it is at least an option I do want to mention, and in that case she might be actually worth getting. Generally, QINGYI has a lot of teams, but she is basically never the best in slot choice, which is a good point to start the pros and cons with. Well, yeah, QINGYI does have a lot of teams, but is effectively never the best in slot choice. Although I do want to say that I cannot judge and speak for Hadomasa specifically. QINGYI is also relatively expensive to invest into if you want to get the most days and damage out of her. She is pretty simple to play and can also stun extremely quickly, sometimes just too quickly. She has a good range of weapons to choose from and does not need her signature. Her field time requirement is too high for many characters, and QINGYI's Mindscape 1 is also one of the reasons that kept her relevant for a while, making it one of the better Mindscapes to obtain, but it does also not matter for Yizhuan teams. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment on your thoughts on QINGYI and her current state, and of course, join the Discord. A special thanks to my YouTube and Patreon members who make this content possible. If you wish to support me, you will find a link to my Patreon in the description, or click the join button right below this video. And as always, I appreciate all of you and wish you a great day. Peace!